still shaking my head and scratching my head. But these are the things we're working on, and we're going to continue with them. Okay, we're going to have 2 over here, 2 back here, 2 over here, and we're going to keep moving as quickly as possible.
Well, you mentioned that the current House or leadership is looking at all areas of reducing funding and trying to kill some of these sacred cows. Well, some of our neighbors over in District 7 and even District 24 seem to be supporting of a commuter rail system across the United States and forcing us to spend for it. Now, our governor, which we're very thankful for, has sent that money back to Washington, D.C. I did read your memo on that, and we appreciate your stance on it as well. However, it says not all universal. Now, instead of taking that money that we're sending back to Washington, D.C. and using it to pay down the debt or whatever, Washington, D.C., oh no, it's already allocated for this particular topic, so we're going to give it to another state. So we don't reduce anything, we just move the money around from one state to another. Can we, and also on the other side, Mike Pence and Paul Ryan got up and said, oh, we're going to rescind that funding. Well, which side is it? Are we going to rescind the funding, or are we going to give it to someone else?
And I asked this question too because I was trying to find out the answer. According to John Micah, the money's out. The agency has it. There's concern that the money will be reallocated before we get back, before the Senate blows up the seal. That's the problem. And that's the problem we have with these agencies. That's why there's oversight.
Congresswoman, I just want to thank you for being here today, in spite of the health problems. And I think I speak for a lot of people in this room when I say thank you. You know, we sent you and you have a spine of steel, and we sent you because of that spine of steel. And one thing I'd like to say is, don't be afraid, even the Frenchmen, because we're going to stand behind you. We have your back because you have ours.
Hi, I'm Marvin Friedman from Oviedo. I came because the idea I'm about to give you, I wrote in great detail to your predecessor, who then wrote back to me saying everybody needs health care. There was nothing about health care. I want to talk to you for 1 second about increasing revenue. And the problem we have is that paying interest on the debt is money which leaves the U.S. Now, through most of my life, I bought savings bonds. Savings bonds, when I cashed them in, I spent them in the U.S. I earned it in the U.S., I spent them in the U.S., and I paid taxes on them in the U.S. A PR effort that said buy savings bonds, a war on the debt, would increase revenue substantially, decrease foreign exchange, and I think would be very successful in terms of helping the country.
I remember those too. So hopefully you guys got that. Okay, right behind you, Sean.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you also. I know I speak for probably everybody in the room. I was at the Wedgefield debate, and you made a commitment to hold town hall meetings, and you're filling a 2-year gap where we didn't have a representative. Couple of quick comments. I work for the Navy. I'm a retired Navy vet. I work for the Navy, and we're doing analysis in an area of technology insertion program for savings. It's probably one of the most minimally funded areas that offers the most in return for that type of work. I was wondering if you could look into incentivizing ideas, and not only with the military but in government, where if you can come up with ways to save money, that's where you want to spend money to get a larger return on investment. That's investing in the future and reducing the debt. Secondly, I wanted to talk kind of a jobs thing about the illegal problem. And I sent Nelson, Senator Nelson, the other senator, an email a while back asking that they focus on the employers of the illegal immigrants. I've got 2 brothers that are out of work right now that are in the construction industry because of the problem with the illegals. They just raided the VA hospital.
Yes.
They should be putting the contractor that was hiring these guys, they ought to be holding them to account. They need to go after the employers, incentivize the illegals that are here to go home voluntarily where we don't pay for it, by offering them an incentive to come back into the country legally, into sponsored jobs out in the fields or wherever these jobs Americans don't want, which I can't imagine. There's probably very few of those at present. Incentivize them to go home and focus on the gangs and the people that are over there illegally that don't care about taking jobs from Americans. And thirdly, I think the comment that the gentleman made about the wars, as a 3-year Navy vet, I think if you allow the military to prosecute the wars and keep the civilians out of it, the wars would have been over a long time ago. Thank you very much.
Do you like
Ms. Adams,
this is our future here.
as you being on the scientific committee in space, I think we should continue the Constellation program. It would put a lot of people in work, and if we could build a base on the moon or in bases in space, it would provide jobs for all these Americans. The Democrats keep saying they want to provide jobs. Well, the way they can do it is by funding NASA. It would put us ahead of other countries, and it would allow us to have an economic advantage. Companies could build hotels in space. NASA could build a space elevator. We could have a moon base. We could mine for resources. It would enhance our economy. We should also continue to use the resources at home and back off on the restrictions on that have made so many useless.
We have some more girls.
Thank you so much, Sandy, for everything you're doing. It's a much better day today than a couple years ago. I would like to talk about something a little bit different. The EPA right now is bypassing Congress and the courts trying to regulate CO2, and the FCC is bypassing Congress trying to regulate the internet. Ken Salazar has been found by a federal judge to be in contempt of court, as is the Obama administration for the Gulf oil ban, which they are still not releasing permits. And soon, Kathleen Sebelius and the Obama administration will also be held in contempt of court because they're ignoring a federal judge's ruling on health care. I would like to know if the House, well, you don't need to answer this, but I would like the House to think about what steps it needs to take next, because we have a pattern here where the Obama administration is ignoring its constitutional limits. Thank you.
We had done some things on the regulatory side, and we were looking at those. That's what's happening is these agencies are legislating through regulation and bypassing the legislative bodies. The other thing is, during the many numerous amendments that I voted for that passed, there were unfunding of EPA regulations and some of the healthcare regulations. So we're working on that. One of the amendments was actually to unfund the czars also.
Yes.
Thank you, Congresswoman Adams, for being here today. A couple of questions. One is, how are we supposed to, as citizens, get the right numbers when it comes to the budget? You know, for the 2011 budget that you're working on right now, and I know the others doesn't come up till March or April, but I constantly hear the other side saying, well, we've cut $41 billion, and then your Congress right now, the one that's in session right now, you know, are at $61 billion, and people hear this and they think that they've already cut that, the previous Congress, when they just playing with numbers. So how are citizens supposed to get the right numbers when it comes to what everyone's saying? And second of all, you know, in terms of the Social Security, real quick, you know, I I remember when it was set up and there was a trust set aside where the money was supposed to go in there. The government went in and put in IOUs and put that into the general fund. It was no different than what happened in Florida. I remember I moved here when we had the education that being funded, and then they started the lottery and they said, well, it's going to supplement education, and it wound up with the money being taken from there, from education. It was kind of like a Ponzi scheme. So, you know, right now, what's Congress going to do about fixing that, where the money that goes into the Social Security Trust Fund stays in there, and the government does not take it out?
Well, I agree that they need to quit taking it out. And what they've done is now it's not sustainable. We know that. And we're working on that issue, and I'll tell you that. If you ask me, I'll give you the real numbers. We will find the real numbers. And like I told you, we are digging into everything. I tend to do that. One of my chief of staff the other day came from a meeting with one of the agencies on their budget. He said to me, he said, I think you're rubbing off on the agency that he was with. I don't think like the questions he was asking, and he came back and said, I don't think they're going to like, they don't like my questions. I don't think they're going to like yours at all. So we are going to be asking questions.
Hi, Mrs. Adams, I wanted to thank you for coming today, even regarding your health. One question that I had is that many prominent freshman Republicans campaign on a repeal and replace plan for health care reform, and a lot of Republicans have been focusing on the repeal part. However, one question I wanted to ask is when congressional Republicans will replace the health care reform system rather than just repeal it.
We already voted on a bill that would require all the committees to start the replace process. And we are looking at the good parts of the bill, you know, pre-existing and other things. So we are in the process of doing that.
That's that
We just
constitutional question.
we went one step further and said we are replacing it with true reforms that will give you quality care and quality access. Okay? We are doing it. I want you, because you two are our future. And we want to make sure that you have a future here in our great nation.
I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for many years, older than dirt. I've been working with insurance for over 40 years. And my last employer for the past 10 years, I followed insurance trends. I know that one of the Republican plans is to sell insurance across state lines, which I think is a great deal. Unless individuals are required to buy individual policies, or they buy individual policies. That is a very expensive thing for people, and you don't get the best amount of benefits either. If they sell across state lines, I would suggest that they consider every individual in that plan to be part of a group plan, so the risk can be spread out.
That destroys collective
The
bargaining.
other thing that I've seen Paul Ryan recommend is that for senior citizens, of course I'm a senior citizen, be given a voucher to buy individual policies. Again, it's the same thing. Those senior citizens like me are unfortunate enough to have autoimmune disease or lung disease. We're uninsurable. We couldn't buy a policy if we wanted to. The cost would be so high that we could not. Again, if it were in a large group, that would be different. If it's considered large, a big pool, that would be different. But individual policies, standalone individual policies, are not the way to go for the citizens.